from the dead, we are.
It's been 5 months since we posted a video on this goddamn channel.
Like, the two things that we could say here, one is that, you know, as Halloween's around the corner, we just literally died and then came back. The other thing is that you lost the key to the cages, and we've been sitting in there for months.
It's been bad. It's been a bad time. I've
Also,
gnawed out my way out the back.
happy late 6-year birthday to the podcast.
Hey! Happy birthday! You're not old enough to vote.
You're only 6. You're barely stepping out of
First
there.
grade, got on the bus for the first full day of school.
All right, so welcome one and all to another episode of the Talkbox Podcast. We've been away for a while, but we're back with some pretty exciting things to talk about today, in my opinion. So, as usual, I am your host with the most, Chad, Captain Tempest. With me, I've got Zack, CryoLord530.
How's it going, everybody?
And, of course, the only guy who's got the recording equipment, Adam, the Dutch Oven.
I'm here every time.
You have to be. You've got the microphone.
Contractually obligated to be here. Court ordered, I believe.
So before we get started, I'd like to say what I'm going as for Halloween. I am a sad adult because I have had my car be in the shop. Will soon be 3 times this month. And, man, it really puts a drain on your finances.
I was thinking about this for Halloween, but I don't have any Halloween parties to go to, so the point's kind of moot. But I found this suit that's like $100, and it's this. It's very, very Florida. Like, it has like a pink flamingo, and then like a palm tree, and then like the rest of the suit is blue, and like it's just that repeating pattern over and over again. And I kind of want to go as the entire state of Florida.
Hey,
in
I
that
like
suit,
that.
but I don't know.
You just take the tie and wear it around your head.
Yeah, exactly. And like sunglasses, and just like, I'm Florida man. It's just like,
Yeah, literally Florida
laugh
man.
it up.
Yeah, literally Florida man. That works out.
I'm gonna be Dustin from Stranger Things.
All right.
You could play that off. I can see that.
I've heard nothing but good things about the second season so far.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes and I like it.
All
There you
right.
go.
Except for the fact that I'm watching it with my parents and I ask questions every 5 minutes.
Yo, parents are like that, but I've been there myself.
Who's that guy? I don't know.
They haven't introduced him yet.
All right, so we'll move on to the first topic for today. We are going to be talking about a couple different games that have come out within the past couple months that we really are into. And then we also have Adam, who went to New York Comic Con.
I did.
And wants to talk about that. So
Sure.
We'll start off. Do you want to go first or should I, Zach?
Whichever you feel.
All right, I'll start first. First topic we're going to have today is A Hat in Time, which is a game that I was super pumped for when I helped back the Kickstarter back in, I want to say 2013?
Ooh, yeah.
Or 2014. I forget if it was a 3 or 4 year development, but it was in development for a while. It was a Kickstarter that basically said it's like there's not enough 3D platforming games out there. It's a genre that really hasn't been explored a lot in the modern era.
It hasn't matured well with like everything else. Like, well, I think it's one of those things where you look at different types of games, and one of the benefits of, like, say, Stardew Valley is that it's just like Harvest Moon, but there hasn't been a new Harvest Moon game.
In a long time.
So fill the void. Like, go for it.
So that's basically what they were looking to do. It was the same kind of mission statement as Ukulele a couple years back. But this one was... it didn't... I don't know how much money they ended up receiving. I want to say it was at least like $200,000 when all they were asking for was like a flat $50K or something like that. But they completely like crushed their Kickstarter. Like they absolutely nailed it. Friggin' they raised so much money. And the development cycle has kept in the loop. I personally did not look at any of their updates because I wanted to keep myself fresh for the game.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a lot of cut content. Like I'm looking back through the dev diaries now as they were posting on the Kickstarter, and there were a lot of things that got changed between when they were developing it and when it came out. Which is, it's natural, but it's like there were like almost entire like characters and backstories that got cut out or changed in some way.
Well, what's interesting is like I've Kickstarted stuff, and it sounds like the Kickstarter process for that was a lot more in depth. Because I know whenever I go through like developer diaries for games that I've Kickstarted, they don't really go deep into like characters that aren't going to make it into the game.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where like I think every Kickstarter I've been a part of, they've always like mentioned a character and go, yeah, this character's going to be there. And then they've like definitely been in. Like anything they show you is like definitely going to be in the game. So it's interesting to know that like they were like, oh yeah, here's some stuff, and then have it cut.
Yeah, or like changed in some way.
But that's really weird. I don't know. I've never heard of that, but I don't Kickstarter enough stuff to really
be
privy to that.
But anyway, so the game came out. I received my key because I was a Kickstarter backer. Game is absolutely phenomenal. Like, first off, the art style is gorgeous. Like, you literally can combine Super Mario Sunshine with Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. It has that nice same, like, cel-shaded, animated sort of thing, but also just really cartoony and like fucking vibrant and colorful.
That's cool.
It's oh my god, the game looks so gorgeous. Every single world feels completely different, and so far I think there's only 4 worlds, 5 if you count the finale. But each world feels different and distinct in its own way. So we've got Mafia Town, Battle of the Birds, Subcon Forest, and Alpine Skyline as the 4 like major worlds.
And they're all very like...
They are. It's like Mafia Town feels like a level out of like Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine or any of the Mario games, because it's like it's one very small and condensed world, but there's a lot of stuff to do in it.
Inside of it, yeah.
And every single chapter of it takes you on a different mission to retrieve a timepiece, which is, you know, the star or shine sprite or what have you, the big collectible that you need to go around and get. So, like, Mafia Town feels super condensed like a Mario level. Battle of the Birds feels like Psychonauts because every single level is completely different, and there's very rarely... the only continuity, I guess you could say, is the world, because every single thing takes place in a different part of it, and it feels super different.
So that's cool.
It feels very unique.
That must have taken some real work to get
I can imagine. The next one was Subcon Forest. This one feels like a Banjo-Kazooie style level, where it's like it's very big and expansive, and there's so much to explore, even if you're not on your current mission or whatever chapter.
Now, can you visit back to previous worlds, or is it like unlocked?
Yep, it's you access everything through one hub world called the Kid's Spaceship.
Yeah.
And you basically have different rooms. This is very also reminiscent of like Mario Galaxy and stuff like that. There were different areas on Rosalina's spaceship, for example, in Mario Galaxy, where you just looked through something and were able to see like a subset of galaxies that each had their own thing.
Yeah.
This is basically that, except each telescope only brings you to that one world.
Which is nice. It's nice. It sounds like it's nice that they've taken they've cherry picked the best of several different like sort of games and like modified them into their own worlds. I can see where that would be a better way to introduce interesting styles and like genre changes and shifts in a way that makes you like, okay, this is shifting like this because I'm in a different place.
Yeah.
And that way you're not like mixing too many things.
And if you've played a ton of these 3D platformers before, like, you know, Mario, Psychonauts, Banjo-Kazooie and all that stuff, like, this basically feels like a nostalgic love letter. Like, you're going to pick up on a lot of different, like, cliches and nuances. What's the term I'm looking for? Tropes. Tropes is what I'm looking for. You're going to pick up on a lot of different stuff that they have put into this game, pulling inspiration from other games, and it just feels so... It feels so fulfilling. Like, it's a wonderful experience that definitely, I agree that it's probably one of the better indie platformers that I've played ever.
Very cool.
Awesome sauce.
Other things that I really enjoyed about the game, the soundtrack. Freaking, oh my god. Originally, when I kickstarted it, they said that they were going to be enlisting the help of Grant Kirkhope, who is, you know, the big composer for all of Banjo-Kazooie stuff.
Yeah, that dude.
They brought him in actually to do a couple songs, but really none of them made it into the final game. They used him kind of mostly for like promotional material and stuff in the beta. The only one that did make it in, if I remember correctly, is the spaceship hub world theme is one that Grant Kirkhope and Pascal, I'm going to butcher this name, Pascal Stiefer, I think is his name. They composed it together for the spaceship theme, but other than that, it's all Pascal on the OST.
Well, I remember you played, we did a Halloween-esque one-shot set in like a bayou swampland full of demons, and I remember you played the bayou swamp theme
for Subcon Forest.
Yeah. And that came out really nice. That sounded really good, and we were like kind of jamming to that. We were like, "What's this from?" You're like, "Hat in Time." We're like, "Oh, cool."
If you didn't tell me that was Hat in Time, I would have been like, "Oh, this is just some dope country music."
This is some dope swamp people music. Yeah, but it was good.
No, yeah, it's honestly the soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal. I think they actually now have it on like iTunes and a bunch of other sources. Like, you don't. Originally, when they had it up on Steam, you had to buy the game in order to download the soundtrack as well.
Yeah,
now they have it separate, so if you just want to get that, you can do that. You can find it on like iTunes or wherever else they have it up
Nice.
and online. But yeah, no, definitely, the game was sweet. Another one of the few games that I felt like super compelled to complete 100%. Like there's a certain threshold of timepieces that you have to collect to unlock other levels and other worlds. But you unlock the final fifth chapter, fifth world kind of thing at 25 pieces. And there's 40 pieces total in the game. So I felt that was kind of weird because it's like you're a little more than halfway done collecting them, and then it's just the finale drops out of it anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, I definitely went through and collected the rest of them, and then got frustrated with a couple, finished the game with the finale, and then went back to kind of find the 2 or 3 that I was missing.
Yeah.
Because goddamn, Alpine Skyline is massive, and there's a lot of hidden secrets in there.
Nice.
But they also have more content on the way. I know they said they wanted to support like local co-op, so they have like a co-op thing that's going to be coming down where you can have 2 players at the same time.
Yeah. So it's not fully out. Like it's still.
No, it's fully out. It is fully out, but everything that they're releasing after this is like Kickstarter stretch goals that will be released as like free
Over
DLC
time.
over time. Because they also have 2 more chapters, like 2 more whole worlds
of the game.
Yeah, because they were bonuses for the stretch goals. So it's like they didn't release with the core game, but they're going to be added as free DLC.
That's cool.
It's going to be like 2 worlds with approximately about like 6 to 7 levels in each of them. So
Did it make a lot over its goal? I know that's always a.
Yeah, it did. I
it?
forget. I could look it up.
That's always okay.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up while you're on Shadow of Mordor when we swap over to that.
No, that always makes me super glad. Like, I remember one of the podcasts we mentioned. There was a game. I forget the name of it, but it was like a tabletop game that like totally demolished its stretch goal. Just like to totally like went so far as to just like trash every single stretch goal they had. And they were just like, you guys got it, but I guess we'll just like tell you what you got over time because you've obliterated it. And that kind of changed my perception of like some stretch goals, especially because like I was backing a similar project at the same time that was having a really hard time like meeting its goals. And I was like, oh, come on, guys, just get there. What happened? Did everyone put all their stuff into this board game? It was just... It hurt me deeply.
Yeah, no, there's it definitely made a lot of money and it had a huge following. I still like love seeing them retweet fan art and stuff on Twitter.
Cool.
Like the game is just so adorably cute and fucking hilariously fun. I definitely recommend it if you were ever a fan of playing 3D platformers growing up because you're going to feel right at home with not only the gameplay but also just like the feel of the overall like different worlds exploring different things. So definitely look into A Hat in Time.
Very cool.
Yeah. Nice. It looks nice.
All right, so who's next? Unless we got any other questions to.
Fuck it, I'll go.
All right, you do that. I'm just going to look up the Kickstarter amount.
So, deep in the dark dankness of Mordor, there's an assload of orcs that need enslaving and or killing, and that is the process that you have to go through in order to play Shadow of War.
Yeah.
Which I have been doing. It's been taking a surprising amount of time. I like it a lot, which is good. I knew from the jump I was going to like it because I liked Shadow of Mordor, but they've definitely added a bunch of cool stuff to it. My one major complaint is the same as the last game, which is I don't give a damn about the story, and I don't give a damn about the people in the story, and they're all idiots. But the orcs are fun, and the orcs are cool, and the orcs are great. And I keep having all these moments where... orcs will surprise me, and those will always be like my favorite orcs. Like, it's one of those things where I feel bad because I spoiled enough of it for myself that I knew what some orcs were going, like some of the funnier looking orcs. So it wasn't a surprise when I ran into them. But then I like would run into an orc that was just kind of a blah orc. Like I think I ran into some guy named like Droog the Drunk or something. And I was like, okay, he's just a standard orc, whatever. I'll just murder him quick or submit him quick. And then he would pull off some crazy moveset bullshit. Like, he would Tokyo drift dodge around me and then, like, pull out 2 crossbows and fucking light me up with crossbow bolts. And I remember having moments like, wow, this guy just, like, destroyed me. I really want him on my team. And it was like... And what's kind of nice is that there's no, like, downside to dying apart from, like, the orcs that killed you level up. And some, like, missions... go by as you like they added time to the missions, so like as your orcs are out in the world doing stuff and you're doing missions and like attacking orcs and killing orcs and dominating other orcs, the time, like you each get 3 turns for each mission. And if those turns go down, then the orcs try to complete the mission on their own. Like, you can be a part of it, and you can affect the success or failure of the mission, but there's, just as much a chance that you won't be able to do every mission, and that one of your favorite orcs will go out alone and then get murdered.
So, because of that, your play experience would be completely different from, say, Pat's.
Yeah.
Because I know you both got the game, and you've been playing the
We've both
crap
been playing
out of
it, and we both have, like, different orcs that we like, different styles of play that we like.
Yeah, I mean, watching, like, Pat play.
Mm-hmm.
It seems really interesting.
It's an interesting game, and what's nice is they didn't really change much of the formula. It's the same basic, like, sneak into a place, attack a guy. What they've changed is they've added more interesting environments. So now there's like 4 locations that you go to instead of 2 from the previous game. You can dominate like orcs, ologs, trolls, graugs, like Karagor mounts, and drakes, like dragons that shoot fire, which is a lot of fun. I think the flying controls are a little clunky, but that might be because I don't do it a lot. So it's one of those. I will say, like, we've definitely had an interesting experience, and like no 2 games are like apart from like the missions, the story missions. It's like everything's pretty cool. The one thing I will say is it does seem like the story missions are one of the ways that you like level up, because like otherwise it's a slog. Like you have to do like a lot of missions to level up, versus like one story mission will like level you up and then some, and it's like. It's one of those things, and there's only a certain number of story missions.
Yeah, and then you're just kind of stuck grinding for XP. So let me lead that into the next question. Then is like, how's the end game content, or have you not gotten really that far?
I haven't gotten as far as some people, but I do know from like looking into stuff that the end game is essentially a constant attack on your fortresses, and you need to make sure that you're leveled up as much as you can be for that end game. Which they send harder and harder orcs after you, and it's one of those things. So it becomes this, like, you really need to play the system when it comes to using your double XP gain boosts that you get from, like, chests, and then using that with story missions that give you an ass load of XP to really boost your guy up, like, multiple levels when you can.
Right, because you're not going to be sure, like, when another mission's going to come along that you're going to be able to get
near the end of the game, there's a drought of story missions that you can do without completing the game. So it becomes a whole thing where you have to, like, run around and, like, do orc missions, but orc missions take a lot. So it's one of those. Or, like, if you're trying to get legendary gear is tough to do without letting an orc kill you 30 times.
Oh, wow.
Because you can do that. You can go up to an orc, and if there's an orc that you want to, like, end up being a legendary enemy, you can go up to him and have him kill you, and then he'll level up. Or you can, like, send him death threats and then show up, and then he can kill you, and then he'll level up even more. And you can keep doing this until he's a legendary enemy. And then you can kill him for legendary gear. And then if you get all of the legendary gear of that tribe of orcs, then you can get special bonuses, like all fire gear, or headshots cause explosions, stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's neat. And I like how each different orc has an interesting visual style. I like that there are different weird classes and subclasses and like extra stuff. I like that. Sometimes I will say there are times when I recruit an orc and I don't properly like read through his like stuff because he's like just another orc that I've captured. And then I'll be like murdering some other orc, and that orc that I had captured will show up and betray me because these dudes are blood brothers and I didn't know that. And it's like they've been setting up their own relations with each other and like figuring out stuff. It's crazy. And it's crazy how in-depth the game is. Every once in a while you'll run into something that you're not expecting. I remember I had one guy who was like Karuga the Horned Lord, and he was just like a dude with a helmet who didn't wear a shirt, and his only weapon was like a big bone club. And I was like, okay. And like not even like the least imposing orc you've ever seen. And I was like, whatever, I have him now. What am I going to do with him? And I think I ended up throwing him in the fight pits, because fight pits, like, you make your followers fight either enemy orcs or your own orcs, and like they can either win or lose and whatever. But you have no say in this fight. Like, it just happens. It's your guy just like fighting randomly against another guy, and you gotta just kind of like watch your own guys like fumble on someone for like 5 minutes. I went to do laundry after setting up Karuga the Horned Lord. I was like, whatever, I'll have him fight. It won't matter. He's going to die, and then I'll get like a better orc from it. Mm-hmm. I come back, and Karuga has cloned himself 5 times, and all 5 of his clones are smacking away with their bones at this like heavily armored like troll guy, and the troll guy's like, "Ah!" and like under a swarm of these like shirtless orcs with like bones, just like it's like, oh man.
So you didn't know that he could do that?
I didn't know he could do that because I think I got him from like a loot chest, so I never met him in the wild and like talked to him. It was just a thing that I was like, okay, and like the loot chests are super easy to get. Just
I was going to say,
how
do you feel about their implementation of the game?
It doesn't matter. It's it's one of those things where if I have an empty slot in my like roster for an area, every once in a while I will grab one of my orcs that I have in like my orc stable off to the side from loot chests. But
the orc stable.
Yes, back at the orc stable we have all kinds of orcs. We have big orcs, small orcs, poison orcs, fire orcs, fearful orcs, shitty orcs, good orcs, and epic orcs. And it's like, on the one hand, I can get as many orcs as I want, but it's not like I'm going to really need them instantly.
Yeah.
Like, you need proper slots in order to put your orcs into areas, and to do that you need to like kill or defeat or whatever other orcs.
We bought you a present.
Oh boy,
did
what
you?
do we
A
get?
present for Adam.
Vent covers.
Oh yeah!
Yeah!
Good stuff.
It's going to be on the internet now.
Yeah. You got your vent covers, they're going on the internet.
Yeah!
Take that.
Internet vent covers.
Good stuff.
Wonderful.
Love it.
Alright.
Love it.
So what other things can you tell us about Shadow of Mordor in the sense that, I guess, do you believe the end game, I guess, is like...
I think it's worth it. I think
Is it worth it? Because it feels like it'd just be like more grindy stuff just to get more XP, get more stuff.
I think the point is like endgame is you're defending your fortress. You've spent so long like dominating orcs and setting them up and leveling them up, and now you have to use them to defend. Mm-hmm. Like you've been fighting an offensive war this whole first 2/3 of the game. Now the last 2/3 is like, okay, Sauron's coming at you. And he's been building up an army of orcs just the same way, and he's going to just send them at you forever.
All right.
The one thing that's a little bit of a bummer is, a bummer if you're Sauron, is that, yes, you're sending more powerful orcs at me, but I have been spending all my time making orcs as well, and if you send cool orcs at me, I can whittle them down and then mind control them. So,
Then you have...
thanks for the orcs,
Yeah,
I guess.
so you get all the cool ones.
Yeah. Well, no,
Right.
that literally happened. I was playing a siege, and there were all these, like, cool orcs that were attacking me, and as one would like get through the gates, I would knock down his health, mind control him, like, you fight for me now, and he's like, oh, I guess I do, and I'm like, cool, thanks, cool orc. And then like the next one showed up, and I did the same thing, and when I mind controlled all of them, the siege ended, and I was like, okay, that's not a problem.
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing.
I know that Pat's been doing some pretty interesting stuff with his endgame, where he basically just like throws every single orc that he encounters into a fight pit against one massive guy.
Yeah.
It's basically just become orc pit fight simulator.
That's what
2017.
happens. But like, what's nice about that is if you're fighting, if you're using the pit fights to pit like one orc against like an enemy orc, even if your guy dies, you get the chance to like mind control the enemy guy.
Yeah, and then
Which
get
is
him as
great.
a part of your team.
Because
so
you're
there's really
basically
not a whole lot
up in
of...
the. It's a circus of value. You're always getting like bonuses from that. Like you're always getting something from that pit fight, even if it is just better orcs, which is nice. But yeah, the in-game currency isn't too tough to get. Like you get that just innately by doing whatever you want, and then you can use that to buy loot boxes. Loot boxes aren't essential. The only thing they're really good for sometimes is XP boosts, and that's kind of essential, but they don't tell you that outright. I haven't bought anything through like the regular cash shop,
And you don't really need to
and
either.
you really don't need to. You just get a chance of getting better orcs, but I also can get a better chance of that by buying 5 loot boxes with currency I generate innately.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Very true.
But my most favorite memories are all like getting surprised by orcs or having orcs like chase me across the world and like attack me. Because I had one guy who I kept trying to kill, and every time I tried to kill him, he always found some way to murder me instead. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go to the starter area, and I'm just going to level up some of those orcs and get like a nice like palate cleanser from having to deal with Moog the Unbreakable, because he was immune to most of my attacks at that point, because I kept dying to him like a chump. And I'd gone over and I did a pit fight, and I was like, okay, my guy lost the pit fight. I guess I'll have to come in and like, you know, mind control this guy. And midway through the mind control, like midway through me like chunking out his damage, Moog shows up.
All the way to the starter
Moog the
area.
Unbreakable has chased me across Mordor. And like it's like I'm here, and he's like he's like one level above. He's like 1 or 2 levels above the one that I can like mind control. So he's like a couple levels above me, so I can't mind control him. And he's there in the starter area that's full of like level 18 orcs, and he's like, "I'm a level 30. What up?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, Moog, Moog, why did you come here? They're just children, Moog. They don't know." And it was one of those things where I like mind controlled the orc that was like a level 18 that I was like fighting before. And I threw him at Moog. And then another orc popped up to ambush me, and he was like, "I've been waiting to ambush you." I'm like, "Great, glad you are here. Let me introduce you to my friend, Moog the Unbreakable." And like enemies kept popping up.
And you just kept mind controlling
because
him,
I hadn't been back to the starter area in a little bit. So like there had been some time where some rando orcs had like weaseled their way up the ranks and into the thing. They ambushed me the second I showed up, and I just kept tossing them into the meat grinder that is Moog, until finally, like, we got him down, and I had the chance, and I took it. I was about to kill him, and he like got down on his knees, and he like had a moment where he like looked up at me, and he was like, "A good death in the name of Sauron. Thank you, Ranger." And then I chopped his fucking head off, and I was like. And I just kind of sat there and I was like, damn, I really wish Moog could be on my team. Too bad he was a level above me. And then I think I spent the rest of the night being like torn up over the fact that I had to kill Moog the Unbreakable because he was so cool. And it killed me so many times. I was like, I actually like wrote his name down on like the little like notepad I keep next to my thing. I was like, Moog the Unbreakable, because I didn't want to forget the name of the guy,
the one orc,
the one that got away. But it was just sad. It was one of those moments where I was like, "Oh man, I really wish I could have controlled."
No, there are moments in games where that ends up happening, where it's like you see something incredibly awesome and it doesn't quite go the way that you think it'll go, and it
causes a great gaming moment. I think a lot of games are entirely built off of you being surprised. I think there are a ton of games where the mechanics of the game, and I feel like that's one thing that we miss out on a lot. Like, Jade Empire is an older game, so I'm about to spoil some stuff about it.
Fair enough.
Because it's old, and you should have all played it already, because I've been saying it for years.
What, 2000?
I have been saying for years that you all should have played it. It's like $2 right now on Steam. Get it. This is your final warning. The spoiler is, you get to the end of Jade Empire, and you've defeated the Emperor, and you meet your captured master, and he's there. And you're like, "Master, I'm finally here. I'm here to save you. Everything's going to be cool." And your master goes, "That's great. That's fantastic. I'm glad you're here. By the way, I see that your abilities have, progressed, and you're still using that style I taught you." And you're like, "Yeah, I have. It's really come in handy for all the stuff." It's like, "Yeah, there's one fatal flaw in that style." It's like, "Oh, what is it?" And your master, like, does, like, the 5-finger death punch on you and murders you in the throne room of the Emperor.
Damn.
And you're, like, I remember I think the controller fell out of my hands. I was like, "What?" And then your party, like, escapes from the Emperor's palace, and you're dead. And there's a sec where you're like, "Okay, what happens now?" And then you're a ghost. And then you're a ghost running through the ancient temple that you were like the last survivor of. And you meet up with a ghost monk, and the ghost monk and you have to fight other monk ghosts that have become demons. And it's a great final act because you're dead. And you're like learning all of this stuff because the only people that can like tell you more after this point are dead people.
Yeah, the ones who have been murdered.
And it was a really good, like, I know there are people who did expect, they were like, the master's going to betray me because he has really good voice acting. But it was one of those things where, well, like, it was one of those moments where you're like,
that's the moment right there.
No, like, I was talking to someone and they were like, "Yeah, I figured he was going to betray me because his voice actor is really good. And I figured they didn't want him to be like just the starting protagonist, like, instructor for the tutorial and then to like disappear from the entire rest of the game. So he needs to have more lines than just that." And I was like, "You got me." He comes back later. But phenomenal game. I'd recommend to play it. Now that you know the twist, too bad. Get with the times.
You had your chance. It's been out for years.
Shadow
Mordor, on the other hand, you can still get that.
You can still get that.
We won't spoil anything about that.
One thing
I don't think we really did, aside from like a system that we already knew
I will
about.
say one thing about Shadow of Mordor.
All right.
Okay.
Before we move on to Adam's thing.
Shadow of Mordor is going to be cheap.
Is it?
Mark my words. Because the same thing happened to Shadow of War, the one we're talking about now, is going to end up being super discounted. Because that's what happened to Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of Mordor got down to $3. The Ultimate Edition was $3.
Yeah.
So if you really want to play Shadow of War, I would say wait. Because right now it's a $60 game. It's going to be $3.
Well, maybe not $3, but it will see a price reduction.
You give it 5 years, it will be $3.
Okay.
Mark my words on this podcast right now. In 5 years' time, we'll be at 2022.
Yep.
2022. I guarantee I will owe you, Chad Dominique, $5 that you will then use to buy Shadow of War the next month, because it will then, after that point, be down to $5. It will be down. The Ultimate Edition with all the DLC will be down to $5.
$5. Okay.
Especially because the DLC is the same. Like the DLC for the season pass, because I was looking at it, is just extra tribes of orcs that you can like add to your army.
Oh boy.
And
orcs and stuff.
But no like story DLC or anything.
I think there might be some story DLC in the form of like being able to play other characters, like playable characters doing extra weird campaign missions.
Gotcha.
Who knows? I certainly don't. It wouldn't make sense for them to have crazy like orc controlling abilities. So what's the purpose?
We'll use the game engine that they've created to kind of make a different experience, sort of. Maybe that would be my only guess.
I get that, but it does feel like when they were like, play as Baranor, a random Gondorian soldier that's a named Gondorian soldier that is your friend. I'm like, Baranor seems cool. Totally down with Baranor being a playable character. I'd like to explore his story, but not as Baranor. I'd like to explore Baranor's story as Talion, the guy who can dominate orcs.
Yeah.
And I'd like to dominate humans. Like, let's be honest, I would love to use the Ring of Power that I have in Shadow of War to dominate everybody. I seem to be able to dominate anyone I want. Why not include good guys?
That's very true. But that's a mystery for another day, I suppose. We'll see how the DLC progresses on that down the road. But yeah, so 2022.
2022, if Shadow of War isn't $5, I am contractually obligated by this podcast to provide you, Chad Dominique, via this legal document, $5.
All right, we've got it. We've got it on tape. It's recorded. It's on Adam's laptop. It's on the internet. You're welcome. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on to our third and final topic for this evening. The internet is forever. We'll move on because Adam went to New York Comic Con recently this past month.
Did about, I don't know, 20 days ago?
Just about.
Almost a month. But
Almost a month.
So yeah, tell us about that. What other conventions have you been to? Because actually, I don't think this has ever been breached in conversation between us.
None.
None. Period. So this was your first con ever.
First con ever.
Oh, you picked a doozy, my friend.
I did. See, you get the hard thing out of the way.
And then all the other ones seem like
nothing.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go to Connecticut. This is garbage.
Okay. As a guy who works for Connecticut, it's just a little bit like
garbage.
Well, not garbage. It's just a little less in scale.
Yes.
I'll say that.
No, it's much.
It's a very
smaller.
pretty looking dumpster.
Scale. Okay. You're being a jerk.
Moving on. So let's talk about New York Comic Con. What kind of things did you do there? Who'd you go with? All that spiel.
I went with my friends Jason and Angie.
Who has been on the podcast before?
Jason has.
Angie has too.
Forgot.
You can no longer get that one.
Yeah.
No longer exists.
It's in the vault.
Jason was
in the
on.
archives.
If you want to check out the episode he was on recently, it's Mountains of Money.
And it was also featured on a couple episodes of Screen Sheet too.
A couple episodes of Screen Sheet, yeah. So I went with them.
Right. We don't play that anymore.
We do. We can. We should.
Nope. It's too late.
Anyway, moving on.
Too late. Put a bullet in it.
Yeah. So yeah, Jason and Angie went all 4 days. I went the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Any interesting panels that you went to while you were there?
Did one panel.
One panel. Okay, what was the panel?
It was the You know the guy that does like the Shakespearean versions of Star Wars books?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
movies? Yes. They had a audio. They had a. They turned them into audiobooks. So the most recent one was William Shakespeare's The Force Doth Awaken.
Okay.
So they had some of the voice actors there, and they just read some selections.
Oh, that's cool.
And
That's
then
great.
they had like the audience come out and
That's
do some
super
stuff.
cool. I like that. Oh man.
For those of you who saw Force Awakens, BB-8's there, and typically the droids are written in English, and all the characters sometimes occasionally have like their own different form of poetry. BB-8, it was actually written out nonsense.
Wow.
Like, it doesn't say like computer noises, it's like zip zop zoobity, like
Zip
stuff like
zop,
that.
zoopity bop, and it's like that's
Yeah, and the voice actor, got down on his knees, brought the microphone, had like a BB-8 hat.
cool.
And like,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
I
seems
love,
like-
I love when the actors can get in on that kind of stuff. 'Cause
One
That's,
of-
that's always fun.
Yeah, one of the voice actors was sadly I couldn't get it to work because my phone was being weird. Was at the booth for the audiobook company,
Oh,
Oh, okay.
and he was recording voicemails.
Nice. Yeah.
So I
that's
tried to
always
get I
fun.
tried to have him do Admiral Akbar
that's
for mine, but it wasn't. It didn't work out.
Didn't work
So
out.
yeah, that
Still,
was
it's cool.
that was Saturday. Yeah,
Nice.
Saturday, Friday was cool. I got to see some stuff just randomly walking around. Just randomly saw John DiMaggio
Just
on the floor,
On the floor of the
silent
convention.
a line of like 3 people.
yo, that's great.
good stuff.
Yeah, I don't remember what I did Friday. Friday was there's the one Star Wars meetup.
Nice, good stuff.
Yeah, I cosplayed Star Wars. So the first
You
day.
you guys cosplayed the whole weekend, right?
Yes, I did it on Sunday.
You didn't on Sunday, but Angie and Jason did.
And you, Jason, did.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. Friday it was a lot of walking around. Saturday was the busy day.
Yep.
'Cause,
Oh, I'll bet.
This is
Saturday was we met Mark Hamill. We had the Mark Hamill photo op. Saturday was also cool because before the photo op, Jason and Angie wanted to get food. So they got food, and I don't know if you guys remember like the 1980 Batman,
yeah.
the Joker goons with the jackets and the boombox.
Sort of.
Yeah.
They had 2 guys dressed up like that with the boombox, and they're just walking around like just
That's
dancing with
great.
people.
Oh my god,
Uh,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was cool. So we did the photo op
That warms
with
my
Mark Hamill. We ended up going to his one-man show later that night,
Nice.
which is he talked about voice acting, Star Wars, his childhood.
Nice.
He had a little moment at the end for Carrie Fisher.
Yep.
Yep.
He was funny though.
That's good.
There was a video actually I
It's
saw
okay.
recently. It was a clip for like the Justice League cartoon.
Mark Hamill featuring Mark Hamill and Mark Hamill.
Yep. It was basically the Joker and the Trickster, both characters voiced by Mark Hamill, kidnap the real Mark Hamill and try and hold him for ransom. And then Mark Hamill, using his voice talents, adopts the voices of both the Joker and the Trickster to turn them against each other. They drive into a park and then are captured by Swamp Thing, who is also voiced by Mark Hamill.
Hey.
It was...
Yeah.
It's the most meta thing I've ever seen, but
Nice.
he didn't mention that at all, I imagine, as like something
no,
coming down the
that
pipeline,
wasn't-
because that literally came out like I want to say this week.
Yeah, it came out a couple days ago. Sunday was way busier than we all expected. Because normally Sunday is like the slow day. It was super crowded.
Damn.
Like,
Yeah, no,
I
I
had
can.
more issues getting through like around the floor that day than I did.
That's probably for ticket availability. Because I know Saturday tickets are usually the more expensive ones. Sundays are usually the cheaper ones, and you can usually get Sundays over Friday, Saturdays.
I don't.
Just from like my experience with PAX East and my experience with other
I
conventions.
mean, I think each day was $50 if you
Okay.
had
If you
registered
bought
beforehand.
Oh, if you register beforehand, okay. I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Well, the only way you could get
Like
tickets
fan
was
verification.
registering beforehand.
Yeah. So I don't know why Sunday was super busy.
That seems weird, especially since like for most conventions, or at least the ones that I've been to, it closes early on the Sunday. Right?
Yeah.
It could also be that folks were selling off their tickets once they were done.
Oh yeah, it's like here, take it, enjoy the rest of the con.
Yeah,
we're
and then
outta
folks
here.
coming in. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that's another.
Because that was the thing that a lot of people did for PAX East was if you were done with the convention and you had a one day, you could sell it off to either a scalper or someone out front, and then get your money back.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, Sunday's the day where like a lot of companies will just dump stuff because they don't want to take it back.
Yep.
So
Free stuff.
Zach's got plenty of stories
Done
about
that.
that.
My,
spades.
Angie ended up getting a ton of books because one of
What
their
kind of
friends, just like full books, like advanced reading copies of like novels.
Oh
Yeah,
damn.
no, they have those for. I remember Kineticon had those for a bit, where like if you were a production company and you were there, like especially like an audiobook company or like another, they would have like the books of authors that they were like moving around, and they were like, we don't want to carry these out to the car. Take some. I was like, all right,
Yeah, grab one.
Yeah, so he's one of their friends that I met there actually works for one of the companies who's there.
Dang.
So she ended up getting like the Pro 4-day pass. So yeah, they had this thing called at the end, like the last 2 hours. It's I forget what Jason called it, but they just walked around the floor. I got a ton of free books. I think Angie, there was some kid sitting like next to across from us on the train. Just got some kids' books, so just gave it to him.
there you go.
I'm
Nice.
super excited he was at the con. Artist Alley was kind of cool. They had a lot of cool artists. I only got one print from an artist.
Nice.
It was the only Green Lantern one I could find.
Oh, there you go.
That happens occasionally, though.
I got a limited edition print for my girlfriend from one of her favorite artists.
Nice, good stuff.
Just super cool. So what else happened?
Any like not screenings, but I guess hints at stuff that was coming down the pipeline. It's like here's like a
Sometimes you'll
sneak
hear
peek.
about stuff.
Here's a
Yeah.
sneak peek of like a future thing, because I know that they like to do that at
They
like
do,
a lot
especially
of
like
conventions.
New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah,
They
they're always
were,
like, here's something that's going to be like awesome in a couple of years that we're working on right now, sort of thing.
The only thing that excited me was Batman the Animated Series is getting a Blu-ray release.
Ooh.
Like all in one set.
Oh wait, like the entire series.
Oh,
Oh,
is getting
wow.
Blu-ray because they had the 25th anniversary panel
Yeah. Okay.
on Sunday, which
That's
I wanted
nice.
to go to, but at the same time, I mentioned to Jason. Jason's like, "Oh, we can try that out." I'm like, "There is no way we're getting in that panel. We have to line
you
up
have to
at,
line
like,
up
2."
day one.
Yeah,
pretty much.
no, that's something that like you get a lot. Okay, at New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, and like PAX East and some of the PAXs, you get this sense of like, because there's companies that like sort of pay to show up, and they're like a little more named companies. You get a lot more like crazy line stuff. It becomes a real line con, like not even like Kineticon's line con.
Well, that's just to get in. Like
That's
once
just
you're
to get
in,
in.
it's
Once
fine.
you're in, you're good.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
I remember PAX East is always a bear to get around, and that's I always suggest like if you have something you want to do, show up to that early, hit that line. Don't plan to do any other crazy line stuff for the rest of the day unless you really, really want to, because you'll be in that for 2 hours.
Yep.
Yeah,
If not more.
a lot of the booths had I think Bandai and Konami because they were promoting like their mobile games.
Yep.
So they had like a whole line of going. Comedy Central just had a South Park thing, and that was constantly swamped.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Well, yeah, because with the fractured but whole coming out, that whole
It was for the new season.
Oh, on the new season too.
Oh,
yeah, never mind.
Yeah, there was not a lot of video games.
that's okay. That
They
came out
had a random Shadow of Mordor thing just hanging from the ceiling.
just for fun.
Marvel was swamped.
Yeah.
I'll bet, with all the movies coming out later on this year.
Well, even just comics.
They were just promoting comics. DC was like going
Because that's
full ham on Justice League, and theirs was fine. And I can manage to go around the DC thing without any problems. They were promoting something they have going on right now called Dark Knight Metal.
Oh, yep.
Where essentially what it is, it's like alternate versions of Justice League characters mashed with Batman.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
I had to get the Green Lantern,
Green Lantern Batman one.
that
Yep.
character's is
cool.
Dawnbreaker.
Okay.
So
That's the one that I'm looking forward to is they're doing a like super primitive caveman Superman team for Marvel Universe characters, and one of them is Ghost Rider on a woolly mammoth.
Nice.
It's great. It's fantastic, and I'm just like it's.
What was the weirdest thing I think I saw was apparently Black Eyed Peas have a comic coming out with Marvel.
Okay.
And they were just there doing the signing.
Well, that's cool.
It wasn't all of them, though, was it?
Fergie, will.i.am.
It was
Taboo
will.i.am
and
and
Appledy?
one of Taboo or Apple that I could see.
Either of those.
I don't know which one is
Either two interchangeable backup dudes in Black Eyed Peas.
I feel so bad because Appledy is definitely a lot more indistinguishable than Taboo. Taboo just looks like he could be anybody. This isn't a dig on the Black Eyed Peas, by the way.
Come on.
This is just my personal opinion.
Well, that's okay. Hey, I'm glad their crossover comic is doing well. Because I know the other Marvel crossover... Yet. Well, like, people are at least relatively excited about it. Marvel recently did a...
super long line.
I don't know if you guys heard about Marvel's crossover comic with a defense contractor.
No, I didn't. I don't know if I want to.
They were planning a defense... They were planning a crossover comic with a defense contractor known as, like, Gummin Northman.
Isn't like an actual defense contractor.
Like, they build... like they build missile systems and guns and stuff.
All right.
But one of the things that they were trying to promote is that the Northern Gunman is trying to make they're trying to make a push into aeronautics and aerospace and explorations and stuff like that. And that was kind of what this comic advertisement for a defense contractor was supposed to be about. Like the Avengers are fighting an enemy, and only the help of the Northern Gunman employees will they be able to defeat them. So they have like 4 employees that all link up via like neural network chairs that they like use to share their consciousness together. Will they be able to help the Avengers stop a giant robot?
That sounds bad.
Now they announced it and they were like, "We're going to do this crossover comic," and everyone basically said, "Why? This seems dumb. Don't do this." And so now Marvel has officially gone, "That seemed dumb, and no one seemed to like it. So we've said we're not going to do it." But like you can see pages of it, and it's just kind of silly.
Yeah. What else happened at Comic-Con? Besides
any wizard stuff?
Not that I saw. Loot Crate was there.
All right.
Yep.
They had
They show up sometimes.
Doug Jones was there promoting the new Guillermo movie.
Oh, cool.
Besides that, yeah.
Nice.
All right, good stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a weird wavelength
I
we just
mean-
had there.
Hey, it's the same. Whatever.
Alright.
We rode together. We think together.
We're basically like brothers at this point.
Only
Alright.
closer.
Let's wrap this puppy up.
Okay, so
That's
we'll
bad for
move on,
puppies.
I guess, to our final segment. So, one cool thing. Because that's our official theme song now.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start with me. The one cool thing that I've done recently is I've been doing a lot of Halloween events for games that are out. Like,
Nice.
let me see. Killing Floor 2 has a Halloween event going.
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch has their Halloween event going where they brought back Junkenstein's Revenge and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
League of Legends has their Halloween event kind of going right now. It's more tied in with the
thing.
the World Finals and all that, the World Championship. So they might have another one that's coming like down the pipeline later on. 100% Orange Juice has a Halloween event going. So it's just like I've basically been delving into a lot of different games just to try and get all that sweet exclusive loot.
Okay, I get you.
What do you think besides Shadow War?
I'm working with an artist friend of mine, and we're maybe writing a game.
All right.
It's this. The idea is basically it's set in like It's basically set in like modern Japan, except you're based around the last like train that's like a holdover train from like the Meiji era and the Meiji Restoration, and it's one of those things where you are a conductor or like a junior conductor on the train, so you take people's tickets and you talk to people and you like get items from them, put them in the lost and found, and like interact with people on the train.
Cool.
Then you go home and you go to sleep, and your shadow stays on the train and has to help the train get to the underworld to drop off the spirits of the dead.
Nice.
And stop demons from attacking the train.
That went in a direction that I did not believe it was going to.
And one of the cool things would be like taking items from the lost and found in the shadow world, and like if you say you have like 2 sticks And in the regular world, you're like, these could make a fun sword, and you like tape them together to make them look kind of like a sword. It like has a sword like silhouette. Toss and Lost and Found show up during the Shadow world. It's a sword. Yeah, like it just needs to look like that.
That's crazy.
And so we've been like, and so she's been working on like making some like different like little sketchings and art and concept stuff for it. And we've been sort of planning out like a bunch of different little things, and it's been kind of coming along really well and really weird. And it's kind of charming and nice, and it's weird to be like, because like the only way this works is as a game. Like the way we've been like thinking of it, it's like without player agency, this is weird.
Okay.
Amazing.
And me, really quickly, I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing New Leaf.
That's right. Is it on the one on the phone?
Yes.
Yeah. How is that?
It's fun and addicting.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
How does it change from like being a mayor of a town to being? Are you like a camp counselor or what is?
The phone one hasn't come out yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've just been playing on the DS.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was excited.
The phone one, I guess they were able to crack into it in Australia, but it's not worldwide released yet.
Okay.
Gotcha, 'cause that's
and
coming.
with that, we're slightly over.
Okay, that's fine. We'll wrap it up. I'll just do the one last thing. Going back to Hat in Time.
Yeah. How much was it?
Kickstarter goal was originally $30K. They raised $296,360.
Nice.
They almost went 10 times over their goal. So
Good job.
Good
Okay,
stuff.
awesome.
All right, so thank you for listening to the Talkbox podcast. We've got a bunch of social media you can follow us on: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go follow us on all things and let people know that we exist.
Instagram, WeChat.
As always, I'm Chad.
I'm Zack.
I'm here.
And we will catch you guys next time. See you later.